So I don't just feel like getting up and doing this. Oh yeah, I ain't did this a long time. What's up, y'all? I don't feel like doing all that. Alright. We gonna just get it to it. Cause I ain't did this a long time. So true story about the angel of death. And I ain't got no snacks today, so I'm sorry.
When I was in kindergarten, I lived in an apartment.
How you there? Okay, we got something new. We got Big Boppers cookies. We got this mixed color with a juicy fruit thingy. And we got donut birthday bash.
Apartment house of quarter access, and there lived a family of a friend who was always playing with me in the same apartment. Me, my mom, my friend, and my friend's mother. We used to hang out with each other often. Then one early dawn, my friend's mom kept hearing an irritating sound outside the front door, so she woke up and went outside. To her surprise, there was an angel of death crawling on all fours in the hallway in front of her eyes, just moving back and forth, on and on. And that irritating sound that she heard was the sound of his black dress being drawn to the floor. She screamed with fright, but it kept crawling slowly in front of the front door, not caring about her at all. And she eventually realized that it was a dream when she soon awoke. The next day, she, of course, got frightened and went to see the shaman lady with my mom. As soon as she told her own story, the lady said something with such a creepy, cold voice. "Your son will die soon, and there's no way to save him. You can't change the fate." She got more terrified with anger and got up from her seat hurriedly. But then the shaman said to my mom, "And your son will be safe." In the end, they had no choice but to just come back vacantly. A few days later, the four of us were on our way back from the market, as usual. By the time we reached the entrance of the apartment, my friend suddenly ran into the apartment first, saying he had to pee. And I saw the fruit truck parked in the corner of the apartment parking lot, so I ran over there and started to beg my mom to buy some fruit. As she was not about to buy me fruits at all, she just persuaded me to go home quickly. However, somehow I kept wanting those fruits so badly, so I tried not to go back home, standing in front of the truck. My friend, who already just went up to his house, stuck his head out from the railing in the hallway. Then he shouted loudly, saying that the house was locked. After seeing his mom take the key out of her bag, my friend came down again right away. And as soon as he ran towards the apartment entrance, it was the very moment. He was hit by a big van suddenly that rushed from the other side. I don't remember because I didn't see the very moment clearly, but it is said that his whole body flew away with a loud crash. And of course, he died instantly on the spot. I've been thinking so far that my friend had died because his mom had dreamed of the angel of death. But my mom later told me something shuddering. "Do you remember how high the corridor railing was then? It was just as high as an adult's chest." It still gives me goosebumps when I think of the moment when he got his head out of the railing.
Wait. So the thing killed him?
So, where should I begin my story? First of all, I recently got a job as an intern at a small company while attending a special high school. And from school, I had a friend who I hated most. He always spread false rumors, making my friends turn on each other, and never was sorry for what he had done wrong. Well, He was already a celebrity at that time. But this dude and I eventually got a job at the same company. Because I had the complete opposite character of him, we had a lot of fights at school. However, after I came into the company, I tried to control myself as much as I could, and understand him no matter how much he said stupid things. My friends ended up calling me Buddha. But the incident eventually happened 2 weeks after my first day of work. I can't tell you the specific details to protect the company's privacy, but his mouth was absolutely a disaster. Our school teachers had to come to the company. We both had to have a face-to-face talk with the executive director, and we even had a call from the education office. I got so angry. I couldn't bear this stupid situation anymore. I ran down to the first floor material storehouse, confirmed that there were no people, and spat out all kinds of curses calling out his name. Shit, I'm gonna blow off your head, you son of a... But it was the biggest mistake of my life. The warehouse used to be a place where people didn't come very often. But when I looked back casually, he was there. He was just staring at me. My heart was pounding, and I felt like my head all stopped. Holy crap. There was a bleak silence between us, and I could feel that awkwardness in my bones. But soon he just turned around and then went out of the warehouse. Feeling sorry, I thought he got hurt feelings, so I followed him. I called his name several times, but he never looked back, and just walked down the hall. At first, I felt sorry, of course, but come to think of it, it was literally all his fault, and he had a responsibility to fix this problem. So why should I apologize to him while being ignored by him? All of a sudden, I started to be outraged at him. I stopped there and I screamed at his back. He suddenly stopped walking, and at that moment, I was like, oh shit. You know, I mean, we're still working for the same company right now, and I can't make a mess of my...
Like, just like in Hughes, like, I was about to fight somebody, and then when somebody was trying to fight me, and then when I yelled at his name, like, oh yeah, you still gonna continue fight, it was just like the same thing. I was like, oh shoot.
Plans in just 2 weeks. So I apologized to him to ease the mood by calling my friend's name again. Then he turned his head slowly, and, well, I still can't forget that creepy memory until right this moment, writing about this incident. To tell the truth, I'm about to go crazy. His neck slowly turned toward...
How come nobody's ever tried to be a superhero?
Dude, if anybody did it in real life, they get their ass kicked.
Who are you?
I'm Kick-Ass.
He's inspired a wave of real-life superheroes.
Let's see what you can do.
Right with his name. I don't like that. That is nasty. That is nasty.
Let's face it, we are all looking for someone to love. And if you are single and Christian and looking for someone...
toward me. And you can believe it or not, his body was standing still in the same position, but only his neck slowly began to turn. A loud crunch sounded in the hallway, as if his neck bone had broken. And I just watched it, blankly. He was staring at me with his mouth closed, and his neck turned slowly and slowly. As he turned his neck, the skin around his neck began to twist. And when he finally turned around for about a turn and a half, his skin tore with a tremendous sound. The blood rose like a fountain, and his neck dropped on the floor with a loud thump. Then his head rolled towards me and stopped at the tip of my foot. Looking down, I could see his head showing with all his teeth, and he was smiling brightly at me. When I saw that horrific head like a broken tomato, all the cells in my body were screaming to get away from there as soon as possible. It was someone's footsteps that broke the silence that seemed to last forever. And only then I screamed frantically. My colleagues told me later that they could hear my voice on the second floor. Well, I can't imagine how loud it was. Anyway, I could feel someone shaking my body violently not long after. The next thing I knew, the executive director, the section chief, and everyone in the company were looking down at me with a surprised look on their face in the hallway. I was sitting on the floor before I knew it, and he was gone already. I was taken to the hospital right away that day because I spit blood on my hand while coughing. I couldn't remember how big I screamed. And while I was explaining the whole story at the hospital, I heard something incredible. One of my colleagues told me that my friend was working in his place at the time, and he was even so busy that he never came down to the warehouse on the first floor. I couldn't believe it. Eventually, I took a week off from work and got a psychiatric consultation. 5 days have passed since then. I heard that he was dead. On the 5th day, the director came in early in the morning and opened the door of the company as usual. While he was working in the office on the 2nd floor, he heard a loud bang in the hallway. And when he went outside, he found my friend had hit his head on the marble floor, and it was all smashed. He died just like that. Later, when the director checked the CCTV at the police station, he found that my friend quietly climbed the stairs while he went into the office and closed the door. He just stared downwards for
This football. And
a while and jumped off. I guess the director must have been shocked. He eventually had to go to a psychiatrist for a while. When I came back to the company, there was only silence inside the company, which was unusual. Anyway, I was just playing with my cell phone while I was writing this, and I just got a call from the chief. He asked me if I came down to the 1st floor on Saturday morning while I was on my alternate work. I was working on the 2nd floor in the first place, and I couldn't go down to the 1st floor until lunchtime. So I told him I didn't. But then he said something strange. He was smoking in the outdoor parking lot that day. Then he suddenly turned his head toward the warehouse window on the 1st floor. He said that I was standing inside and staring at him quietly in the dark warehouse. He continued to say that I looked at him for a while and then disappeared. At first, he didn't want to say anything hasty, but he finally called me thinking about my friend who died a few days ago. Well, to be honest, I'm in a panic right now. I've calmed down to some extent, but I'm still scared. There's something I didn't reveal while writing earlier. I remembered it just now. When I'd seen my friend's fallen head that day, I actually saw the face coming toward me. It was neither my executive director nor the section chief. It was me. I could see my body walking toward me with only my head turned back. So, the reason I screamed was not that I saw my friend's fallen head. I screamed at myself. My parents have gone on a trip right now, so there's nobody at my house right now. Now, what should I do?
Oh, he's one of them. That story was long.
No plans tonight?
spend time with someone new.
Chat, live stream, and listen with Spoon.
Download now.
My bad. I want to hear another y'all. Man, you just making this donuts with who? It's good.
This is a story that I read somewhere. Have you guys ever heard the term lucid dream? Well, it's a dream where you can do whatever you want while being aware that you are still dreaming. In other words, it's a dream with clear consciousness. But what is even scarier is that there are people who can literally invade other people's dreams. Okay, so here is how the story starts. There was someone who was experiencing a lucid dream while he was sleeping. All of a sudden, someone else appeared in his dream and shot him. It was so vivid. He could feel the pain of being shot, and he bled quite a bit. Then the stranger approached him, and he asked him a question. How does it feel to die in your dreams? I know, this is not a scary story, but it's about a dream I had when I was young. In my dream, I was at home drinking water when suddenly I had the urge to go to the restroom. So I ran towards the bathroom. But when I opened the door, about 100 doors were in front of my eyes. All the doors were locked, except for the last one. So I opened the doors one by one. I finally entered the last door, which was the restroom, and I felt relieved and happy while I was peeing. However, while I was peeing for a while, it was kind of weird. It felt really uncomfortable and wet. And when I woke up, I realized that I just urinated on my blanket. Anyway, I was shocked, but also generally happy back then, so it didn't really bother me.
That really was
My older sister's body was weak, so she experienced sleep paralysis often. She used to dream a lot too, and once she told me the most horrible dream. In her dream, she went to the amusement park and rode a roller coaster with her friend. They sat in the back, and as soon as the roller coaster went up quickly, people in front of them suddenly died without any reason. My sister and her friend were really scared. They were going to get off right after the ride, but it didn't stop and kept going again and again. And people were still dying right in front of their eyes. Then it was my sister's turn to die, but suddenly she heard the cuckoo clock in our house ring 4 times. It was 4 a.m.
That's weird.
Well, the story is not finished yet. She tossed and turned for a while and then fell asleep again. Then she started dreaming again. She had the same exact dream. She was panicking. Suddenly, the guide grabbed her shoulder and whispered in her ear, "Don't run away. Now it's your turn." And the roller coaster moved again. Her friend fell down first and broke her arm. And when it was my sister's turn to fall, she miraculously woke up from the dream. 2 days later, my sister's friend called her and said that she hurt her arm while in school. She was in art school and had scratched her arm terribly with some type of sharp tool. It really creeped us out.
Come on now.
Art school and had scratched her arm terribly with some type of sharp tool. It really creeped us out.
How did somebody scratch themselves? That's like saying making a peanut butter but no jelly and 1 piece of bread. The missing man in my town come.
I used to live in a small house located close to a large town. I always read the newspaper every morning when I woke up, and one day I saw the article that one man from the same town I live had been missing for almost 4 months. The guy had a large scar from his left ear, the mouth, and over to the right ear. I thought I had seen something like that in a horror movie before. After a few more months later, another man was found murdered not far away from our house. The police kept searching for the criminal. However, they could not find any evidence.
I would have felt uncomfortable.
I was paranoid about that incident, but soon I eventually forgot about it. About another month later, one night, I was about to sleep in my room. I was the only one who had a room downstairs at that time, and I used to sleep with my window open because I get hot often. That night, I fell asleep early. However, a loud noise from outside my window suddenly woke me up again. It sounded like someone threw a ball or something like that on the wall beside my window. My bed was right in front of the window, so between me and the window was pretty close to me. I couldn't see the outside as the black curtains were blinding the windows, but I could definitely see that there was something behind it. Suddenly, I heard a small dripping sound from the window to the floor. Being frightened, I slowly opened my cell phone and turned on the flashlight. And there was blood dripping to the floor. I immediately pulled the curtains open and there was a knife stained with lots of blood on the windowsill. And there was someone outside. It was pretty dark so that I couldn't see his face clearly, but I could recognize those scars. It was the same man that was missing for months. He was standing there and just watching me with a blank stare. And I noticed that he had cut his scars open widely again with the knife. I quickly grabbed the knife, went to my parents' room, and showed it to my dad without saying words. Dad immediately called the cops, and they ran toward my room, but when we looked outside the window again, he was already gone. After the cops had arrived, they didn't find any trace of him. And now it's been 2 years since then. But still, nobody has found the man yet. Who was that man? And why was he doing that outside my window without doing anything harmful to me? It remains still a mystery.
It is too.
But I'd always fall asleep whenever
I was like, I'm tripping.
This happened when I was in 4th or 5th grade. It was just a typical day. My friend's parents were working, so I went over to my friend's house and we played together. It was around 1 p.m. I was packing up to go to the academy when my friend suddenly grabbed my arm. "Can't you just stay with me until my parents come home?" However, I was sure that my mom would scold me if I missed the academy, so I told my friend I'd stop by again afterwards and then left. I was on my way back to my friend's house around 4 p.m., but when I reached his house, there were policemen next to it. I could see some officers and other people around the area. It turned out that there was a married couple living there, and the wife committed suicide while her husband was on his way to work. After that, while I was walking home with my friend so that we could play at my house, I suddenly got scared. So I asked, "Why did you tell me not to go to the academy earlier?" Then my friend said that he heard a woman's voice through the wall while we were playing at his house earlier. And this is what my friend told me. The woman said,
"I wanna die. I 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 wanna die."
Oh, heck no.
For some time, I used to try to experience a past life, but I'd always fall asleep whenever I tried to. One day, I tried to experience my past life. As soon as I woke up in the morning, I fell asleep again. I usually either don't dream or remember my dream after waking up, but this time my dream was so vivid. In my dream, I was walking up the stairs, and there were tons of flowers and grass on both sides. So I kept walking up the stairs, and I was excited. But then a man came down the stairs. He was handsome, but aside from his looks, I felt a little scared of him. I could see that all of his clothes were black and dull. The man walked towards me, so I tried to pass him with my eyes looking down. But then he suddenly said, "You have no past life, and this isn't where you're from," he said while shoving me. I woke up at that moment, but I still vividly remember the feeling of him pushing me. After that, I stopped trying to experience my past life.
Oh my God. Nah, this is creepy.
My brother used to suffer from a serious sleepwalking problem. The problem is gone now, but just 2 years ago, he would wake up every night, knock on the door of his bedroom, and walk alone. That was his creepy habit for a while. One day my parents went on a trip, and my brother and I were home alone. That night, I started to hear a tapping sound on the door while I was sleeping in my bedroom. When I opened my eyes, I noticed that it was coming from outside the door. So I opened it, and my brother was standing in front of my door. He was looking down at me without blinking an eye, and all of a sudden, he smiled. His skin looked so pale because he was sick at the time. It was horrifying. I ran to my bedside to call my mom, but my brother came into the bedroom, started to slowly turn around in circles, but suddenly stopped. Then he started whispering into the air. "Don't do it. I'm sorry. Sorry. Don't. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry." I was so scared of him that I started to cry. Murmuring for about 10 minutes, he suddenly said, "Shut up, you little brat." And then he fell down right on the spot. My mom still didn't answer the phone. I rushed to my brother's room, locked the door while crying to myself, and tried to fall asleep. Maybe it was around 3 a.m. I suddenly heard someone trying to open my brother's door, but it sounded like someone's head was banging on the door. Thinking that it was my brother, I held my breath, and then it was quiet. Thank goodness, I'll be safe here until the morning, I thought at first. But after about an hour, I needed to go to the toilet so badly. I didn't hear anything outside the door, and my brother seemed to be asleep again. So I took a deep breath, opened the door, and tried to get back quickly. My brother, he was crawling around on all fours in the living room.
He is not a human no more.
Not on his knees crawling on the floor. He was moving around with both hands and feet on the floor, and his face was buried between his hands. I didn't even scream when I saw that bizarre figure of my brother. He was crawling in the dark living room. There wasn't a single light, and I think that was the most fear I've ever experienced in my life. While I was just shivering without moving an inch, I met his eyes and he looked like a dead man, as if he took some kind of drug. I snapped out of it when I saw his eyes. Then I ran back into the room, locked the door again, cried, and finally fell asleep. The next morning, I went outside and asked my brother about the night before, but he didn't remember anything. No way. What for? He said he couldn't remember anything at all, no matter how many times I asked him. That was the most frightening experience I've ever had.
Oh, heck no. He remembered. He remembered. I'm not stupid. That dude remembered.
First,
Alright, so this is my last one.
so I'm here to post about a dream that I've been having as of lately. I've been having the same dream, and the story is very simple. I am on my laptop at my desk, and my older sister is writing in her diary in her bed. And an extremely tall guy keeps trying to enter our room. He was literally so big that his chest touched the threshold, and I couldn't see his upper shoulder at all. My sister and I knew that he wouldn't be able to come in anyway, so we didn't care about anything and did our own things. He bumped his body trying to come in, but then finally gave up a while later and went back. And at that moment, I woke up. But recently, he keeps cutting his body little by little. By the third day, he hadn't been able to come in, but the day before yesterday, he was in front of the door, standing with his ankles. He cut off his foot. Of course, he couldn't come in either, and just yesterday, he cut off half of his calves. His shoulder was seen for the first time, but he has also kept bumping against the door. and this time was no different. What happens to me next if he cuts himself all the way to his knees? Second, it's me again, and I came back to post my recent experience. 2 days later, my worries became a reality. I had a dream again that day, and this time he really cut himself to his knees. I'm not going to explain all the details, but all I could see was his abnormally big mouth, and he was smiling brightly. Then I woke up. I was too scared to go back to sleep after just seeing his face. After that, I gave up on sleeping for a couple of days. I drank all night with my friends, went to a handicraft workshop run by my mom. I was playing on my cell phone for a while and napped for a while, lying down on my mom's lap when I felt too tired. Then I fell asleep, shallowly, on the sofa, and the man was there in my dream as usual. Fortunately, I was able to wake up right away because I didn't sleep deeply. However, being scared, I called my aunt, who was interested in spiritual existence at that time. When I confessed that I was having a hard time because of this, she told me that she knew a shaman and asked me to go there with her. No one believed such a thing because my family were all sincere Christians. My aunt was also a Christian, but she took me to the shaman saying that the method would be much better than just praying. Well, I guess these poor little lambs must have been dead.
He gotta be dead. The reason why I say that, because there's no way everybody would be scared because his foot got cut off. He's tall. And then, he's a little bit big and creepy, so I'm pretty sure everybody would be scared.
Desperate. That day, when I went to see the shaman, she said this to us just as I went inside. When my aunt asked what I should do next, the shaman said, "I'll give you an amulet. Put it on your door. Because we don't know if he was just joking around or doing it for a reason. We have to give it a few more days." Then she continued, "After I came back home with the amulet, I put it on my door without my parents knowing. I fell asleep in my room comfortably for the first time, and there was the man in my dream as I expected, but this time he wasn't standing, just sitting by the door and staring at me. I was inwardly admiring the effect of the amulets when I saw him like that. Just then, he began to imitate my dad's voice. Lord, please take care of my family and look after my lovely daughters as if they were your eyes." He said a prayer like that almost every day, and while laughing, the man just recited the exact same prayer with my dad. Tears flooded with fear, and whether he thought that it was funny to see me crying, he began to mimic the barking of my dog this time. It was just surprisingly the same. He would scratch the door and whine when I closed my door to study, and the man made the same sound, scratching his fingernails on the door. The next was the voice of my friends. The moment I heard his voice, I was so scared and creeped out. Eventually, I could wake up shortly afterwards while I was crying in my dream. I called my aunt right away, and we went back to the shaman again. And I think we have to raise our prayer to God and do some exorcism sooner or later. I have been awake since that day. Of course, I've been eating my meals normally, but I kept losing weight because of a lack of sleep. I was going crazy. I'm still terrified even when posting this right now. If anyone has experienced the same thing as me, please help me out.
Wow.
Joe Biden.
Alright, y'all, I'm gonna end this video right here. Make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Thank you. I got somebody that watch my videos, react to it. I just appreciate it. Only freaking legend just did that. Well, thank you. Well, I don't care. If y'all just watch, y'all can watch. But thank you for the view, though. But, thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, comment down below which one of your scariest one. I don't know. This ain't bad, but it's just like normal ones. But anyway, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. I said it so many freaking times. How many times I'm gonna keep saying it? I said it a million times. I know y'all heard me say that about like 5 million. Okay, never mind. Okay, well, thank y'all. I love y'all. Appreciate it for watching my video. So, thank you. I love y'all. Bye.